Hello, I am filming this the day before the anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. Um, so I, you'll find this on August 18th, probably, and August 18th, 1920 was when women got the right to vote. So I thought that I would recognize that milestone, which was not very long ago, by reading from the historic women trailblazers of Massachusetts. And the reason that this is what I'm reading, it's thundering outside. The reason that this is what I'm reading for that is because it's something that I have on hand that I want to explore. And there's a lot of really interesting women who came from Massachusetts. And I'm just going to start by saying some of their names that you might be familiar with. Louisa May Alcott, Abigail Smith Adams, Susan B. Anthony, Clara Barton, Anne Bradstreet, Rachel Carson, Julia Child, um, Emily Dickinson, Mary Dyer, Fanny Farmer, um, Helen Keller. Um, some of these are very familiar names, but I'm not sure who they are. Lucretia Mott, I remember that one. Um, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman. So this is all of these women were from Massachusetts, and that is interesting to me, and it makes me think if there are that many significant women from Massachusetts, Massachusetts must be doing something right itself, because I don't think the list of significant women from Tennessee is that long. So the first one in here is Sandra Berenson Abbott from Northampton, who was a physical education director at Smith College, and is known as the mother of women's basketball. That's what she looked like. Abigail Smith Adams from Weymouth was the wife and closest advisor of John Adams, the second president of the United States. She was the mother to John Quincy Adams, the sixth president of the United States, and an advocate for women's rights. Louisa May Alcott, as you might know, the author of Little Women. Blanche Ames Adams. Blanche Ames, rather. Blanche Ames was an American artist, political activist, and staunch supporter of women's suffrage. She was born in Lowell, Massachusetts. Attend- That's loud thunder. attended Smith College, um, where am I? Was president of her 1899 graduating class and earned a BA in art history. She became a talented artist, interested in painting portraits, botanical gardens, and political cartoons, promoting women's suffrage, and appeared in Women's Journal and Boston American newspaper. Um, Susan B. Anthony was an American women's rights activist, social reformer, and abolitionist who was a Quaker, believed in equal rights for all. She was born in Adams, Massachusetts, and is known. One second. We just had a momentary power outage, so sorry about that. I had to double check something behind me was playing, but when it came back. Um, Susan B. Anthony was a Quaker, believed in equal rights for all. She was a social reformer and abolitionist, women's rights activist. Maria Louise Baldwin was an American educator, civic leader, and a lifelong Massachusetts resident who lived her entire life in Cambridge and Boston. Um, Jeannie Loitman Barron was an American suffragist, lawyer, and judge. She was the first woman to present evidence to the grand jury in Massachusetts and the first to prosecute major criminal cases. Clara Barton was a self taught American nurse, humanitarian, and civil rights activist. She became a teacher at 17. Anne Bradstreet was a prominent English poet, and she was the first Puritan figure in American literature with a vast collection of poetry. Rachel Fuller Brown um, was an American chemist who was associated with Elizabeth Hazen, invented nystatin, the first antifungal medicine in the world. Oh, there it was. Amy Cheney Beach was a New England native, an American composer, pianist, and child prodigy. By age 1, she had memorized 40 songs and could read by age 3. At 16, her family moved to Boston and she performed Chopin's Concerto in F minor with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. And it goes on. Alice Driscoll Burke was an American politician and the first woman elected mayor in Massachusetts and New England. There's more about all these. Rachel Carson was an American marine biologist and known for her love of science and accomplishments and as an ecologist and conservationist. Every one of these you could deep dive into and get a whole lot of information. Julia Child, as most people know, was a legendary American cook and teacher, author, and television personality who had the cookbook Mastering the Art of French Cooking. Ellen Garrison Jackson Clark was an African American civil rights activist and scholar who remained true to her calling to go and labor among the free men. Emily Dickinson was a prominent American poet who was born in Amherst and received formal education in Amherst Academy and Mount Holyoke Female Seminary. Um, Dorothy Linda Dix um, changed the medical field through her advocacy for the mentally ill and indigent. Definitely look all these up. Mary Dyer was an English and colonial American Puritan turned Quaker, known as one of the four martyrs hanged for repeatedly defying the Puritan law banning Quakers from the colony. Amelia Earhart was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Mary Baker Eddy was an author and instructor who promoted healings through mental and spiritual teachings. Carolyn Osgood Emerton was a wealthy philanthropist born and raised in Salem during the Gilded Age, but she did a lot to serve underprivileged with charitable donations in the Salem Hospital and Public Library, and did all kinds of other great things. Fanny Farmer was an American who my grandmother knew personally. Was an no, that's not true. My grandmother learned from her school, but she wrote the Boston Cooking School cookbook in 1896, and later the Fanny Farmer cookbook, which we have so many copies. Um, Ruby Fu was the first woman restaurateur in Boston's Chinatown and one of the first Chinese female restaurant owners in the country. Abby Kelly Foster was an American abolitionist who was a social reformer and became a fundraiser, lecturer, and committee organizer for the American Anti-Slave Society. Linda Folger Fowler was the first American born to earn a medical degree and one of the first women in medicine and science. Elizabeth Freeman was the first enslaved African American to file to win freedom suit in Massachusetts, therefore ending slavery in Massachusetts. Charlotte Forden Grimke was an African American abolitionist and educator, known for her commitment to social justice and for helping to found the National Association of Colored Women. Angelinka Grimke was and Sarah Moore Grimke were recorded as the first known white American female advocates of the abolition of slavery. All the Grimke sisters, I guess. Um, so they helped to abolish slavery. Um, Polly Hill was a self-taught horticulturist who, until her death at 100 years old, continued to share her exuberance and love for nature with everyone she met. Jolie Ward Howe was a writer, lecturer, abolitionist, and suffragist who received an honorary degree from Smith College in Northampton. Anne Hutchinson was a Puritan spiritual advisor, religious reformer, and participant in the antinomian controversy. Um, from 1636 to 1638 in the Bay Colony. Harriet Ann Jacobs was an African American writer, abolitionist, and reformer who was born into slavery and lived most of her life as a governess. Amelia Jones was an American philanthropist born to Emma Chambers Nye and Edward Coffin Jones, one of New Bedford's most successful whaling merchants. Um, and she did great things. Helen Keller was an American author, political activist, and lecturer, and the first deaf and blind person to earn a bachelor's degree when she graduated from Radcliffe College in 1900. Um, Florence Luscombe was an American architect and women's suffragist in Massachusetts. Mary Lyon was an American forerunner in the women's education and is known for establishing higher education institutions in Massachusetts specifically for women. Mary Eliza Mahoney was born in Dorchester, the first African American to study and work as a professionally trained nurse in the U.S. Excuse me, and to graduate from the New England Hospital for Women and Children. Helen Vanderhoop Manning was a Native American historian, mentor, and author from Wampanoag tribe and born in Gayhead, Martha's Vineyard. She's known for her book, Mashup Footsteps. Oh, she's more modern. Sharon Krista Corringham McAuliffe was an American teacher and astronaut, one of the 7 crew members of the Spaceship Shuttle Challenger. Maria Mitchell was an American astronomer, naturalist, and educator born to Quaker parents in Nantucket, Massachusetts. Lucretia Mott was an early activist and staunch advocate for ending slavery. Judith Sargent Murray was a playwright, poet, and early American advocate for women's rights. Rose Standish Nichols was an American landscape architect and a lifelong resident of Boston, whose landscape services was employed by more than 70 clients throughout the United States and abroad. Sarah Margaret Fuller Ollie was an American journalist, editor, and critic of American rights, critic and a women's rights advocate, and the first full-time American female book reviewer in journalism. Mary Cheney O'Sullivan was an American social activist, labor union leader, most known for her work in Boston, where she helped organize unions to stop exploitation of women and children in factories. There's so many of these women who early in our American history made so many amazing changes and did so many innovative things. And we have to remember that the right to vote is not something that everybody always gets or used to get. And we've only had it for a very short time in this country for women in the considering things. And so many women helped to blaze the trail for what we can do today. So, anyway, I'm not going to finish it because I have a cutoff, but I'll see you all later. Okay, love you. Bye.